Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel and welcome to another day of Scraptember. Today the prompt is to do mixed media, and I'm playing along with Mixed Media Mayhem, which has ink, paint, and chipboard as part of the recipe. And I'm also playing along with the Iron Crafter Challenge that is hosted by Peace Craft Love. So Anna and I believe Tara team up to do that one. And the that one has an item that they want you to use for this particular day, and it is tags. So yes, I am using ink, paint, chipboard, tags, and mixed media on this layout, and I am really happy with the way this background comes out. So I started out with my Catherine Pooler Tranquil ink pad, and I am just taking it directly to the paper, and it was a little bit on the dry side, so I re-inked it and put more on the paper, and it's looking very blotchy, which is fine for this technique that I'm doing. I am also using some paint. This is, I think, the Anita's brand from Hobby Lobby, and I think it's called Nautical Blue. And then I am going to hold these two up for you so you can see those a little bit better. This one is a pearlescent white or silvery kind of a color that I am using, and I'm just applying it with a brayer. I really like the kind of randomness. I don't do this often enough, but I love the randomness of it. I do add a little bit of water to my paint just to kind of thin it out so I can spread it onto my background a little bit easier and it's not so thick on my brayer. And I'm getting a little bit more coverage on the left-hand side than the right-hand side. So I do want to kind of add a little bit of white to the left-hand side to kind of make it not all blue. And so I did add more of that metallic to it, and I like the way that that looks. So it's a white pearl, and I think that said nautical blue. Sorry, I held it up there so fast. And then I am just using some white acrylic paint. I don't even know what brand it is, but it's just a generic white acrylic paint. And I am just dry brushing it over my layout a little bit to kind of lighten up some of those dark areas and to bring in more texture and a lighter color. And then I am using some Nuvo crystal drops in silver lining. So it's a silver color, but it's kind of leans towards gray. It is a little bit metallic. I really like how it looks. It is bringing in a little bit of a darker color to this background and kind of giving it a bit of a gray hue, which I think is really cool. I like the way that it looks. And it's going to go great with my photos because I'm using 3 photos from Alaska, and they are photos of Mendenhall Glacier. I totally lied. Today's Scraptember prompt is not mixed media, it is selfie. So there is a selfie of myself on this page. So I think mixed media was actually last week. So here it is, selfie, and then I'm using a Tailored Expressions stencil to rub a little bit of gray Catherine Pooler ink through, and the color that I'm using there is called Pebble. And then I'm using a little bit more white to kind of just pounce through this stencil to give a little bit more texture. I really like the way that that ends up looking. It's really, really imperfect, a little blotchy, but I like how it looks. And then when you do the gray underneath it, it kind of just gives you the shadow effect because I've used the same stencil with the gray. So you kind of get a lot of texture doing this technique. So I really like that. And then I am going to just stack my 3 photos up. I'm going with a close-up, closer up, a further away, and an even further away type of sequential shots. And in reality, they're not like really shot sequentially because we took a lot of photos in between, and we actually had to walk quite a ways to get different viewpoints of the glacier. Now I could have actually zoomed in or zoomed out, I guess, while I was really far or close, but it just really wasn't going to give me the best results. So I think the first 2 are actually taken from a similar vantage point, but the bottom one is definitely taken from a different vantage point. So I did pull out some of the rub-ons from the 49 and Market Moonlit Garden. I believe that's what it's called, Moonlit Garden. And a bunch of ephemera from that same collection. And I am just going to go ahead and cut apart one of these rub-ons, that's going to bring in even more of that gray and a little bit of leaning towards the brown color, because one of those tags has a little bit more brown on it than the other two. So I put the brown portion of the rub-on in this bottom right hand corner to kind of bring that color across. And then I am going to use the rub-ons in the two other areas. Now I'm not going to put any embellishing down in this bottom left hand corner, but I do have more texture down there, so I wanted to go ahead and keep my texture kind of located in one specific area, or in these three specific areas, I should say. And so that's why that rub-on made it down in that bottom left-hand corner. So the three tags are chipboard. So if you recall at the beginning, I was supposed to use chipboard, paint, and ink. I have used some ink in my Catherine Pooler inks, and I am now inking up my chipboard. I am using chipboard tags. Tags was called for in the Iron Crafter Challenge, and I will be using a few other pieces of chipboard. So the leaves that you see at the top, or between the two top photos there, are made out of chipboard. So I'm going to use those, and then I'm going to pull in a couple of little frames or bookplate type of looking pieces that are also chipboard. So, and then the blue heart that's on that center tag is also chipboard. So lots of chipboard going on this layout, along with the paint and the ink and the tags. So I think I have met all of the requirements for everything so far. I've got the selfie for Scraptember, and then again chipboard, ink, and paint for Mixed Media Mayhem, and tags for the Iron Crafter Challenge. Now I am also going to use some black archival ink and this older stamp that I have from Prima. It's just a text stamp. It really, I don't think you could actually read it if you tried, but I'm doing some first and second and even third generation stamping on this layout because I want it to look like some of it is kind of washed out and in the background. I like the way that that looks. I love the added texture that it's bringing, and I'm really happy with the way that this came out. I did use the archival ink in case I want to put anything over the top of it. The black ink is not going to run because the archival ink is permanent. And then I am just kind of figuring out where I want to go from here with regard to my different ephemera. I'm not actually going to do a lot of writing on this particular layout for with regard to journaling. I'm just going to write Mendenhall Glacier because that's what that is, and I'm going to write the date because I have actually quite a few photos from this particular excursion that we did. It was not a planned excursion. My husband and I just when we got off the ship, we took a shuttle over to the park that has the glacier in it, and we went for a hike out there. So I have lots of photos of this particular day, and so I don't feel like I need to do writing on every single layout. And this one I decided I'm not going to do a lot of writing on it just because I've got a lot going on already. I'm not even actually putting a title on it. They're all going in one album. Now if I was going to add this to, like, this was just representative of the day in my regular annual album, I would probably put a title and more on it. But because it's going in an album that is all about this trip to Alaska, I don't feel like I need to do that. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense. Normally in my annual albums, I do file my layouts chronologically, and I would put like one layout about Alaska in that chronological album, and then I would just note that there's additional albums with regard to this subject. I kind of took that whole idea of doing that from Shamel. That is something that she does, and I love it. I think she calls it an upgraded album when it's something that is like the day in more detail or the trip in more detail. I don't necessarily call mine an upgraded album. It's just a trip album, but that's basically the same theory that she uses and teaches. So I find it works great because, you know, if somebody wants to go and see more about that particular trip, they can just pull out the albums that are for that particular trip, and it doesn't make my annual chronological albums, you know, 6 or 7 albums long. They'll just be maybe 2 or 3. And so hopefully that's, at least that's the plan. So I am just using a little liquid glue to adhere everything down. And then I am using a black Muji pen to write Mendenhall Glacier and the date down. And that is pretty much it, you guys. I am kind of showing you here the texture and that you can see all of that texture that's built in. Even though it's flat, it feels textured for that background. Oh, I did add in a couple of blue striped pieces of paper with diagonal stripes. I really like those. I think they're really pretty. And it was just, I think, the leftover of a little frame. And so they were in this bag of ephemera, and I thought I'd go ahead and add them to this particular layout. While I finish this up, you guys, don't forget there are a bunch of people playing along with Mixed Media Mayhem. Has a Facebook group as well as a playlist. You can find both listed down below in my description box. The Iron Crafter Challenge, there will be a list of people playing along down below as well as a playlist. And then for Scraptember, there is a playlist and a Facebook group for that one as well. Again, all listed down below, as well as the products that I am using on this layout. If they are something that is still available, I will link those down below as well. That is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have questions or comments, you can leave those down below, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. And I will be back again real soon with another video, so come back and see me then. Bye-bye.